Okay, guys, it's Blahzaye Vibez. We're back at it again, and Trump's coming down with some massive changes from week one. Whether it be good or bad, it's not like a political channel over here. So we're just trying to see people that are straight up not paying debt because the times are coming, they're changing. You know, you have bigger, more things you have to worry about buying eggs. You have to worry about how to afford all that stuff, making sure you don't get fired from your job, get kicked out because of AI. There's a lot of stuff that we have to be worried about these days. But I want to see how these guys and gals are getting around and not paying off their loans, not paying off their debt. I mean, if you need to buy other stuff, then hey, by all means. But let's get into it.
To not pay it off all at one time, and this is the reason. So I have student loans, and I purposely try to not pay it off all at one time, and this is the reason why.
Let's see.
If you have student loans that have a low interest, for me that's 3.84%, then it's better
Not
to
bad.
pay the minimum while investing at the same time. The reason for that is because you want to take advantage of the time that you have investing while you're young. So for example, the S&P 500 returns 10% annually. If my student loans are at a 3.84% in interest, then I would be earning more investing my money. On top of that, my high yield savings account is earning more interest than my student loans. For me, I bank with PNC and I'm earning about 5% on my high yield savings.
Nice.
If you don't know how to invest and you want to get started, the best way I would go about it is by opening up a Roth IRA and investing in index funds such as the S&P 500. Some examples of this are VOO, FXIAX, and SPY. If you have low interest debt, I advise that you start investing at the same time. If you can spend $50 going out, then you can surely spend $50 on an index fund. I talk a lot about money on my page, so if this helps you, follow.
And I think that's a good point. However, I always think I kind of just go with the Dave Ramsey method and just making sure that you pay that debt off first, because you don't want the debt to sit there and they're making interest at the same time that you're trying to make more interest. So you're just subtracting from the interest that you're supposed to be making. She said that she was going to be making 5%, but luckily her interest rates are definitely lower. I definitely want to see what the average student loan interest rate. So it's saying the average student loan interest rate is 8%. But yeah, so average student loan interest rate, federal undergraduate loan 6.53%, average rate's 8% and 9% for plus loans. So I don't know, her plan's good if you have extremely low interest rate, because then yeah, you can, in a good market, and you know, market goes in waves, you could try and, it's not timing it right, because you're supposed to be putting it in over time, but I would rather just focus down that debt, knock it out. For student loans, yeah, just making sure that, I think that's a good plan that she has. Let's go back into it.
3.84%, then it's better to pay the minimum while investing at the same time. The reason for that is because you want to take advantage of the time that you have investing while you're young. So for example, the S&P 500 returns 10% annually. Yeah,
10% annually on a good year though. Like that's definitely not guaranteed. It's not going to guarantee you 10%. That's why I'm focusing down on the debt. But if it's like not like a high threat debt for student loans, and you're going to be given forgiveness on those loans, then I would say make the minimum payments and then invest. Her advice is good. But if you don't get that deal, like where you're in like a federal position or something, I would definitely just say pay down the debt and then worry about investing later after that debt. And that goes for credit cards for sure. Make sure the credit cards are paid down. That's just my take. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Let's move on to the next one.
Just don't pay your loans back. You don't owe anybody anything anyway. You see, the money that you've taken out as a loan is yours. You created it. If people understood exactly how money works, you'd understand that you don't owe anybody any money. Like, let me ask you this question. When you take out a loan from the bank, where does that money come from?
No.
You see, we're sold this idea.
The bank generates the money.
Loan out from the bank is somehow giving you something that they already own, and therefore you have to give it them back. But the thing is, when you take out a loan, that money didn't exist until you signed that piece of paper and gave the order to the bank to create that money.
True.
You created the money. Your signature created the money. You are the backing for the loan. And when you understand that you don't owe the bank anything because it didn't exist until you created it, why do you have to pay it back? And so they then threaten you with this idea, well, if you don't pay it back, you might get a CCJ and it might go on your credit report, right? Okay. And you see, this is the problem. We're told that debt is a good thing to have, but not told what debt should be used for. Debt should be used to buy assets, because once you've got assets that create money themselves, you then don't care about your credit report. because banks will just throw money at you anyway. So don't pay your debts back. Nothing's going to happen.
All right, let's rewatch this and then I'll actually respond to it. Let's see.
Just don't.
So let's see what his initial thing said. So don't pay your debt. Okay.
You don't owe anybody anything anyway. You see the money.
But as he just said, we said you don't owe anything, anybody, anything anyways, but you owe yourself. Though once you sign your name on the paper, you're the one that's liable for that. And then, yeah, it's going to affect your credit score and nobody's going to want to lend to you in the future. And your credit score does matter even when you're trying to get commercial loans and stuff. They take a look at that to make sure you're not some untrustworthy guy and their money is safe with you, that you'll be able to recoup that money, because them giving you that loan in the first place is off the backing of your name. So if you're just straight up not paying back these loans, then your name's bad. Like, why would you not pay it back? That's gonna not enable you to get further loans in the future. You know what I'm saying?
Money that you've taken out as a loan is yours. You created it. If people understood exactly how money works.
Yeah, and there's fractional reserve banking, and then like when you put cash into the bank, it's a liability for the banks, okay, right? But that still doesn't take the onus off of, hey, I'm signing my name for this loan. They created the money, but now you're responsible for it. The fact that the bank trusted you to give you the money in the first place is already what's going to be. And they make, it's a business. So technically it should be a win-win. If you didn't have the money to get that car, to get that house, to get the boat, to get a, whatever, I was going to say yacht, but that's a car court. If you didn't have the money to do it, the business aspect is that they're going to make that interest and it's your name that's backing the loan. But if you're straight up just not paying stuff back, you'll never be able to do that in the future. Unless you have a ridiculous amount of money anyways, which you never used a loan for, you're not going to need that. Which, if he has a point then there. If you already have the money, you're not going to need that loan anyways, right? So yeah, of course you're not going to care. But a lot of people, the majority of people aren't in that situation.
You'd understand that you don't owe anybody any money. Like, let me ask you this question. When you take out a loan from the bank, where does that money come from? You see, we're sold this idea that when you take a loan...
And also, credit unions, they're obviously doing, everybody's doing the fractional reserve banking, right? But if you deposit the money in the bank, as we said, it's a liability. The money that you deposit into the bank, for them to keep safe, for you to have your FDIC insurance, that money's safe up to the $200,000, I believe, or $250,000 per account in the bank, then that's the money that they're going to be utilizing on the back end to help give loans. You can do it yourself. You can loan out your own money. There's other websites and stuff I'm not privy to right now, but there's other websites and stuff that you can actually lend your own money. You could be your own bank in that situation. That's all the banks are doing. They're keeping your money safe. It's nice and insured, and then they're utilizing your money to then go and create loans for other people. And it's a business, and credit unions do this, not like the major banks that are super deep in the fractional reserve system, but the local credit unions and stuff like that. They all do this.
Out from the bank is somehow giving you something that they already own, and therefore you have to give it them back. But the thing is, when you take out a loan, that money didn't exist until you signed that piece of paper and gave the order to the bank to create that money. You created the money. Your signature created the money. You are the backing for the loan. And when you understand that you don't owe the bank anything because it didn't exist until you created it, why do you have to pay it back? And so they then threaten you with this idea, well, if you don't pay it back, you might get a CCJ and it might go on your credit report, right? Okay. And
here's a major thing that he's saying. I come from like a military perspective. So yeah, you cannot pay it back. You're well within your right, and your name did create that money that they lended to you, that they gave you, and they expect you to pay it back. However, in terms of government, military stuff, even in terms like high positions in different companies, they take a look at all that, and that's a factor for hiring you or giving you that position. It just shows you're untrustworthy. You're the one that signed your name on it. You should know and be responsible for paying back that loan. You said that you would do something. You got something in return, and then you don't do your part of the bargain. See, that's just extremely untrustworthy. And I see a lot of people that are saying, like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, the system, but you're utilizing the system yourself. So why now, when you just don't have any money, you already got what you wanted, now actually follow through and then do what you signed your name for? or don't use the banks at all if you're that much against the system. This won't even be a problem if you did that in the first place. I don't know. That's just it just shows from my perspective. It just shows that if you can't pay it back, or maybe, I'll do a devil's advocate on my side. And it's like, hey, I was in a bad position, or, like I lost my job or whatever like that. Then there's programs that you could put in place that the bank does, they charge it off, but it'll be like, if you can't pay your debt back, you could charge it off. And then the bank, when you do your taxes, it'll just show up as you got income from the bank, but it still looks bad on your credit report. And it could be a factor when major companies are trying to hire you and stuff. So let's move on to the next one. Let me throw your comments down below. Tell me what you think as well. We're all learning here. Collectors.
If my bill went to collections, I would not pay it. I am not a lawyer, but I do know that once they sell a bill to a collector, the creditor can no longer collect on that debt. They sold your debt to a collection agency, which is the people that keep calling you to collect on that debt.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't even know who they are because you do not have a wet signature with them or agreeing to anything with them. If they did sell your debt, there's a chance that it was under $10,000. So the original creditor did not think it was worth litigation and decided to just sell your info for pennies. I would start disputing. The chances of getting it removed are pretty high. I try to explain it in the most simple possible way, but unfortunately I'm running out of time. Let me know down below if you need my help.
Yeah, for sure. I think she's definitely right. If you have that problem and your debt, you haven't paid your debt in a while, right? So they're like, okay, we're just gonna give up. We're trying to get this guy, but he's not responding to any of our phone calls or something, so we can't get in contact with him. He's dodging us, this guy is super dodgy. Then they sell your debt off, but you can negotiate with them. I would say be warned, because that stuff, you're still liable for it because they sell the contracts to the debt. So you still owe them. Like, I've heard people get sued from the debt collectors that bought your debt from the other person. And it can just keep going down the line until you start getting contacted by people you have no idea who the hell they are. You're like, I didn't take any loan out with you. What the hell? But yeah, you can definitely negotiate with those people. But some of them don't negotiate too, but they'll definitely, I would say 70%, 80%, especially if you get like an actual debt consolidation lawyer or something like that. I think that's a good idea. She was throwing out some good tips.
Don't ever pay a debt that's been sent to a collection agency. Instead, let me show you how to make that shit completely disappear, or at very least make it a hell of a lot cheaper. But Devin, I don't want it to negatively affect my credit. Fun fact, if it's already in collections, the damage is done. Your credit is already fucked.
The damage is done.
Out and try to save yourself some money.
The damage is
you need
done.
to understand how debt collectors actually work. Let's say you owe Chase Bank $2,000, but you don't pay it for 6 months. They're going to take your debt and they're going to sell it to a collection agency for $1,000. That agency is going to contact you, try to get you to pay the $2,000. If you don't, they're going to offer you to settle your debt for $1,500. You don't do that, they're going to take your debt again, sell it to another collection agency for even cheaper, so on and so forth. The cycle continues. So the longer you hold out, the cheaper it's going to get. And get every agreement in writing. It does not matter what they agree upon over the phone. These people are fucking scumbags. Second, as soon as this collection agency buys your debt, it is no longer yours. It is their debt now. You did not sign any agreement saying that you would be legally obligated to pay this collection agency any fucking money at all, until you verify who you are. You ever been called by a collection agency a million fucking times and all they try to do is get you to say your name? They won't tell you who they are, where they're from, why they're calling you. The reason for that is because as soon as you say your full name and assume that that debt is actually yours, you've now just given them a verbal signature or a verbal agreement that you're going to pay them that debt. Not to mention that some debts have a statute of limitations, meaning that after a certain amount of time, they can't come after you in court and force you to pay that debt or sue you if you don't pay it. But in some situations, when you say your name and assume that debt, that timer resets to 0. But let's say you already told them your name, you messed up, you already assumed the debt. What you're going to do now is request a debt validation. A debt validation is a list of documents that they have to legally provide and have on file that have all your legal information correct, all your debt history correct, and all documents preceding your debt history. And if they're missing or have any of that information incorrect, I'm talking having your birthday off by 1 day, you're going to dispute it and they're going to have to send you a letter saying that this debt is now invalid. Then you're going to take that letter, send it to the credit bureau, and they're going to remove it and make it like it never even existed.
Hey, those are some great tips, and I honestly didn't know that. So just pretty much, it's like freaking Voldemort off of Harry Potter. Do not say the name. So don't say your name, and then you're completely safe for the time being. So yeah, and even said even if you accidentally mess up, then you just freaking go have them do a debt validation. And then obviously, if they do have everything right because they bought the debt, they're in the business, they know these. Because you're as a consumer, you're going into this. They already know everything. They're in the arena already. So they know all the tricks. They know all that's why they come at you. But as a consumer, you take this knowledge into battle with you. and then you're a force to be reckoned with. They can't stop you. They can't handle you. No, it's not too bad. This is great information. I honestly didn't even know that my damn self. So this guy says it's fun fact. His Toyota was actually repoed. He stopped paying the $575 bill every month. It's one of the best decisions of his life. Hey man, some people are getting in these car payments and it's like $800, $900 for 72 plus months, 90 plus months. You guys are crazy out there. So if you're in that type of position and you just give up your car, so go buy a cash car or something, I think that's one of the best financial decisions ever. And then actually using that money, it's what you're not getting is the vanity of having the new car. So now you gave up your car. Maybe you got to go buy some trashy lot car. It doesn't even have to be trashy, you guys. That's just all vanity and trying to impress people that don't care about you in the first place. That's what I think. I would just go buy a cash car, $1,000, $2,000, old Honda, Hyundai, whatever, man, old Ford, something. You know, if you're American, and freaking just screw the vanity, screw trying to impress people, and get the actual bag. That's what this guy's saying.
Income every month. So here are the total for the bills. Here are the total for the credit cards. A lot of people will just try to pay the minimums on their credit cards and pay all the bills. In this case, that's not going to work. It's going to leave you with negative $210, not even including the interest that the credit cards are going to charge you. You still could spend $261 back on the credit cards, but that's still going to leave you in the negative because of the interest. So since you're already paying the credit cards anyway, I would just pay more to the credit cards to get the balance lower to save in interest. And then you're going to be able to use that money back on the credit cards, and you're saving in interest. So it should put you back in the positive if you're not too much short. So the income, I would subtract the cash expenses, pay the.
So you got people in the comments saying that the problem is that the credit card interest is so high. So even if they pay the minimum interest, the charge keeps bumping up the balance. That's the dangerous part of this, guys, because they can trap you with the low interest rates or the introductory rates with their credit cards. And then just over time, sneakily, they don't even have to say anything. Obviously, because you agree to it, and it's a good deal at the time. But then you get into it, maybe you buy some nice stuff. You're like, okay, I'll pay that off in a little bit. And then all of a sudden, you look at your statement or you throw it up on the app on your phone or something, and you look at it, and they've hidden the interest. So you can't even see the interest, but you see your bill keep going higher, and you know you're making the payments. And you're like, what the hell? So you actually check the statement, and then your interest has gone up like 20% or something crazy. And then you actually can't catch up because you've just been spending. You forget about it. It's crazy out there, guys. I'd be careful with that. And then, yeah, I would definitely forgo some of this stuff on the left side, which is hard to do. It's hard to do to try to pay this stuff down. You got to be careful.
But I have been financially not doing great. I am a nurse. Even though
So that's the crazy part, because nurses kill it, guys. I don't know. Well, it depends. There's obviously levels. There's regular nurse, RNs, LVNs, and the travel nurses I know are banking. You guys are absolutely killing it.
I am a nurse and I make good money. I don't have money, which is the sad part because of the choices that I've made still currently and the choices that I've made like previously, like from a couple of years. I am in credit card debt, and it's this unhealthy cycle that I have been putting myself into, and this just relationship with money has just never been something that I was talked about. Lifestyle creep is definitely a thing, and especially when you are trying to make a brand for yourself, when you're aspiring to do something that you want to do, and content creation has been something that I've always wanted to do. Being a YouTuber has always been something I want to do. I've always just wanted to be on camera. I've always just wanted to make a name for myself, whether it be like through content creation, being a YouTuber, being an entrepreneur, like whatever it may be. I always felt like I was meant to do something other than nursing. And so I think for years I have been continuously like, you know, going with the trends and like, you know, buying whatever everyone else buys. So
See, and I think so. That's the one thing, too, of being a content creator. It's like trying to follow the trends and stuff is people I don't even think are even about that shit anymore. right? And I think, and then trying to like buy stuff and then keep up with everybody and show out for everybody. All these people don't care. They're gonna scroll right past. They're gonna watch your video and then scroll right past it, and you just spent a shitload of money on whatever luxury item that you needed to show that you had for the video. And if you're not doing everything right, you're not tax deducting that, and you're not making any income from it. So there's like multiple ways that you're not fully being efficient with the content creation. So I would just say if you're trying to do that, get it from like the ground up, pull it out of the mud, and then don't buy anything. If it's really meant to be, you're just going to keep working, keep failing, and you'll get it eventually. But to have a great job and then still be in need, and crying in your car and stuff, I don't know. Put down in the comments below what you guys think.
So that like I can post about it and like, be seen, but then I get caught up with imposter syndrome of not being enough. In order for me to become someone, I guess I was influenced by.
And here's the other thing, guys. I had to stop it. Like, she's saying that she's has imposter syndrome and not being enough and all that. She's out here already a nurse and like saving lives, contributing to saving lives already. And then there's somebody that's saying that they're not enough, or they feel like they're not enough, which is obviously the attributes of somebody that has high goals for themselves and they want better. But then you guys take a break. It's a mental break, and then realize and give thanks to the position that you're in now. And I see a lot of people just not doing that. And it slightly makes me angry, because it's just like not showing appreciation of where you're already at. You're already doing great. Take your time, take a break, appreciate that, and then get the grind going again. But don't ever sit there and be like, I'm not enough. I'm imposter. Talk about your experiences. Talk about what you're going through. A lot of people will relate that you don't even think about it.
Everyone else around me. So if I bought the next best thing, or if I like looked a certain way by buying these clothes, then I was gonna make an image, a brand for myself. And that turned into like so many like dumb purchases like along the way that I'm like literally paying for now.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, I have been trying to get myself together when it comes to my finances, because obviously like I have money to pay my bills, I have money to like pay down the minimums on my credit cards, but a lot of the times I don't take into account like, money like for myself and money to, just enjoy life. And most of the time like I'm struggling to even do that. So I think I've reached my breaking point. Enough is enough. Like living paycheck to paycheck, living with like the credit card debt and like the afterpays and everything, like I'm done. Like I'm so done. I want to be financially free. Like I don't want to have to worry about like, if I'm gonna be able to eat. I just don't want to be in this cycle anymore, because it's like I want to travel, I want to buy a house, I want to get married, like all of these things. Like it's just like it's not possible until I take
I would say men for like she says she wants to get married, and you see that she has like a great job, she could be on the dating market or whatever. It's always good to vet the girls, and then girls as well. Like, hey, you see a man that's trying to work and then grind it up, and you think he's doing good. Maybe he might be a little bit flashy or whatever. Those conversations definitely need to be had. I see a lot of people get married without even having those conversations. Those are scary. And not actually knowing what your partner's financial status is, like giving their credit score a check or something, looking at how much debt that they have, student loans. Put it down in the comments, guys, if you've run into somebody or you've seen like a couple and you're like, ugh. And then later on they like, oh, well, we're in all this debt. Well, she had a bunch of student loans, or he had a bunch of student loans that we got to pay down, or he bought this crazy, ridiculous stuff, these charge-offs that he had, and I just didn't know about it. I didn't even think about asking. Like, you guys got to vet that stuff, because that is one of the stuff that ruins your life, especially because the financial aspect of being married is the number one reason people get divorced. Take that stuff seriously, guys. I was just vet that. Food for thought.
Step of paying off my debt, and not just paying off my debt, but like being financially literate and just understanding you can't always have your wants. You have to prioritize like your needs, and sometimes like I rationalize like my needs, my wants to make them seem like their needs, and I just
Yeah.
need to get out of this toxic like mindset. Like,
I can see how that could be hard too, especially as a creator. Hell, I do it myself. I'm like, hey, I need a new mic. I need a new camera. Granted, I'm using it. Granted, I'm going to tax deduct it appropriately. Granted, I'm going to pay off the credit card debt that I bought the items with, so I don't accrue interest during that time. You know, I still have a full-time job. I still have multiple full-time jobs, guys, while doing these videos. And that's just something you definitely have to think about, because you'll rationalize it because you're like, I'm going to make money. I'll pay it off once I'm a super successful content creator, you know, and then you'll go into the ebbs and flows of stuff. You'll hit the waves. You'll hit the waves where you're not doing anything. You're not getting any views or nothing. And then you're not making any money from it, but you've already rationalized yourself into buying that thing that you thought you needed for content creation or something like that. Or whatever business you're trying to do, if that works with all businesses, you'll rationalize into buying it and then figure out like you didn't even make any money from getting that thing, but now you still got to pay off the debt from it and you're getting wrecked by the debt. You know, it just comes and goes.
it sucks. And I'm not making this an excuse, but I guess like impulsivity and like shopping addiction is part of ADHD. And sometimes I hate it. Like sometimes I like get mad at myself for having this ADHD and is the reason why I'm in this situation. But at the same time, it's like I need to remember, what can I do now to just like get myself out of this hole.
Yeah, I'm so glad, because I thought she was going to be like, yeah, I have this symptom or whatever, and then not have personal responsibility. I hate when people do that. Granted, if it's something you've gone to the doctor and have been diagnosed with something, I hate the people that self-diagnose. I wouldn't say hate, but extremely dislike. If you self-diagnose that you have something, and then that self-diagnosis was the reason of why you did something you knew you weren't supposed to do, and that hurt you, and then you're like, I have no responsibility for it. I don't know. It's because of this that I did it. It's not really, I wouldn't have decided to do it for myself if I had full control. You always have full control unless you've been diagnosed with something. Like, and then just take personal responsibility. Your decisions are where you're at right now. Nobody else's.
So the reason I'm crying on the internet is to show people that like seriously, like do not like, I understand that, you know, I'm trying to be an influencer, I'm trying to be a content creator, and that goes with like promoting products, but like literally live within your means and only buy like if you have the money for it. Stop klarning, stop affirming, stop afterpaying, like stop just swiping the credit card, because like,
the afterpay.
Yeah, it may be fun like in the moment, but literally you will regret it if that stuff like just racks up and it's like years down the line and you're still paying for that purse that you bought like 4 years ago. Life is too freaking short for us to be paying money on stuff that we bought like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Life is too short for us to be paying for materialistic things. Instead, we should be paying for experiences, for like adventures and whatever it may be. Like,
and hey guys, the experience thing is cool too, but make sure all your stuff, don't be, oh, I'm paying for it. These are life experiences. Unless you have no other responsibilities, like be very careful with that, because she is right. Paying for the experiences is worth it, because that's something you'll remember lifetime. Even if you go away tomorrow, you'll be like, well, you had that experience, and that's something you'll always be able to take with you. It's nothing somebody can come in and take away from you, right? You always had that experience, and that'll always live with you. But be responsible at the same time. I've seen it time and time again, man. People put those major trips on the credit cards and they're sitting there paying that. You have the memory for years, but you also have the debt for years too.
like for new life like chapters, and I don't know, buying the next best thing is not worth your mental health. Buying the next best thing is not worth the emotional and financial burden that you're going to experience if you can't pay it off right away. If you're watching this and you are also in the same boat, like, you are not alone. This stuff is hard to navigate, and not a lot of people like talk about the realness about
Of course, if they don't talk about the realness, because if they talk about the realness, it breaks the illusion. But people need to be talked about the real. This is a trend that needs to be happening anyways. We need to be talking about the realness of all this stuff because it's affecting a lot of people, and a lot of people are paying a lot of money trying to be fake. When if you're just trying to be real and handle a business, that's why it's coming to a time. I mean, with this new administration, and not to be political, but things are about to get definitely harder. These tariffs are about to come around, guys. So talking about this stuff and getting serious, you're not going to be, if you're trying to spend your way out of it, sometimes it's just not going to work. It's not going to work for the majority of people. So we need to get behind these being real trends and not sitting there trying to flex on social media and shit.
In credit card debt or like even student loans. Like I don't even want to think about like the student loans that I have and like my car loan. Like that's another thing in itself.
Yeah.
But if you're watching this all the way through, the one thing that I can say is that if you're going into 2025 with debt, specifically credit card debt, please make a plan to like get out of it, because I know I am, because I can't do it anymore. It's not cute anymore to just put it on the credit card or like I'll do some installment payments. It's not cute anymore.
I mean, it was never cute to begin with. What we're seeing on the right side is people are saying file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's completely worth it. Yeah. I mean, if your situation is that dire, you can't get out no other way, then sure. And this one says, currently debt free except for the car payment. Okay. 40K in student debt, and it freaks you out. Owning up to your debt and completely taking your credit cards out of your wall is the best start. Cut the credit cards up. Cut the credit cards up and start making those agreements. Damn, 36K in credit card because of bad decisions. She wasn't obviously not forced to spend anything. She just pays all her bills, but it's not fun. Just trying to pay it off to live. Yeah, guys, nobody talks about, everybody wants to have fun and spend all that money, but nobody ever talks about how heavy that debt weight feels if you're a responsible person. There's a lot of people that really don't care. Like, they absolutely don't care. They don't feel that. But I know a lot of responsible people that, or if you're in like those positions I was talking about earlier, you're in like a high position at your job and they require you to be financially responsible. There's a lot of positions like that. Then those ones, like your job's at risk, your whole life's at risk, and you feel that debt, the heaviness of the debt. And when you pay it off, it feels so like you're light, you're free. It literally feels free, the chains of debt. So, I mean, guys, pay it off, be responsible. Tell me what you think in the comments. This video's gone kind of long. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.